When I think back on the PlayStation era, one thing that always stands out to me is the onset of the demo disc, something that we didn't have before discs became standard. Keeping in mind that we were cartridge based before this, it really wasn't plausible for Nintendo or for Sega to send demo versions on cartridges to people's houses. It really wouldn't have been cost effective. So the way that we checked out demos before games came out was we went to places like Sears or JCPenney or Electronics Boutique where demos were set up that we could check out and determine whether we were going to buy the games. Granted, it was cool to check out those stores anyway, but still, wouldn't it have been nice to have the stuff at home that you could play whenever you wanted? You didn't have a demo timer per se. That's where the demo disc came in. One of the earliest demo discs that I have is this PlayStation Pix demo disc from 1995, featuring games like Ridge Racer, Air Combat, Tekken, Destruction Derby, ESPN Extreme Games. Jumping Flash is playable on here. There's a video look at Philosoma. This is jam-packed, and a lot of places gave this out for free. Granted, it's not free anymore. You got to pay a little bit of money for this, but still, the idea of a demo disc, because it only cost a couple of dollars to mass produce, companies had no problem just giving these out. Now, sometimes you didn't just get it to give out. Sometimes it was a giveaway as part of a pre-order promotion, such as Lunar Silver Star Story, this demo CD, which, by the way, is still sealed. We'll open this up on a future episode of Unsealed, by the way. This, if you pre-ordered the game in some cases, or other cases you just got it in the mail, it really depended. This let you try the game before it came out. And Lunar, of course, being the big RPG that it is, I think people knew one way or another whether this was going to be for them. But still, to be able to play the game a little bit early, it was kind of a thank you for pre-ordering the game and really get you excited for when it came out. So again, Lunar sealed. We'll have to open that in the future. But say you wanted to pay a little bit of money to get a bunch of demos all at once. You could do that thanks to the advent of the Jam Pack. This is the very first one here from 1997 once again. And there's 12 demos on here. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which is a fantastic game. Lost World Jurassic Park, not so much. Herc's Adventures, which, by the way, is crazy expensive to own now. Dynasty Warriors, Machine Hunter, Rage Racer, one of those games from 97 that I love so much. MDK, Thunder Truck Rally, Codename Tenka, NBA Shootout 97. Yeah, roll your eyes. Rallycross and Pitfall 3D. So all that stuff on here for $4.99. That's a pretty good deal. Now, when you think about a video game magazine back then, you're thinking a traditional paper magazine, like the official PlayStation magazine right here. This one features Final Fantasy VIII on it, by the way. This is from 1999. Now, one of the pluses about buying this official magazine is that you got a demo disc inside. This demo disc here for issue 19 has games like Ridge Racer Type 4, which is an awesome game. You should own it. Roll Cage, Rugrats, another great game. Warzone 2100. And the real stinker of the bunch, WCW NWO Thunder. Plus, there's also some video footage of Legend of Legaia on here. So when you bought this magazine, you got a demo disc inside. So you were kind of getting the best of both worlds. You could read this just before bed or maybe in the bathroom if that's something you do. And then you could pop this disc in your PlayStation. You could check the stuff out firsthand. But there was another magazine that debuted in 1997 that's not your typical magazine and is really the subject for this video. I'm talking about the PlayStation Underground, which started in 1997. This is the very first issue. This was the free copy, and it's for members only. Open and get inside the games like never before. This, my friends, was a fantastic idea. If you weren't around back then, you probably don't understand why it's such a big deal. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to try and make it a little bit clearer as to why I think these were so important and so cool. So first of all, we've got the black and the red background. Reminds me a little bit of Virtual Boy, but we're not going to make any jokes this time. When we open this up a little bit, you see the PlayStation Underground leaflet, and we'll get to that in a minute. And you also see the PlayStation here. And then when you open it up just a little bit further, you actually see that there are two discs in here. When you were getting a game that had 2 discs or 3 discs or 4 discs, you were thinking, oh my gosh, this is absolutely huge. And that's what this is. This has a ton of content in it, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. What I'd like to do first is set the stage by reading the intro, which is in the leaflet, so you have some idea what this is. And then I'm going to tell you why this stuff's important. Greetings, fellow gamers. Hello, fellow kids. This is the first issue of the PlayStation Underground CD magazine. So let us tell you what this mag is all about. Nobody's ever given you, the hardcore gamer, a satisfying, seriously in-depth look at the games. This is true. What it's like to be on the inside, behind the scenes, up close with the creators, where all the coolest stuff happens. Stuff not meant for the masses. Well, this situation sucked, and something had to be done. So we organized the PlayStation Underground. Everything in here is exclusively for you, the Underground member. Interactive demos, interview videos, downloadable codes, making of footage, special offers, and a lot more. And to keep your brain cells stimulated, we'll camouflage some of the content. You'll have to find it yourself. Bottom line, we're here for you. So let's break this down a little bit. In 1997, at least for me, I was not online full time. In fact, I was not online very often at all. My online access really happened at internet cafes, if at all, or when I was visiting my mom. I didn't have a computer yet. I didn't really have an AOL account that I used all that often. So in order for me to jump online and read about video game news that I wasn't reading in a magazine, I had to go to an internet cafe and pay per half hour, per hour, whatever it was. This came in handy because no longer did I have to go to an internet cafe to check out all of the insider information. Sometimes it was in magazines, but sometimes it wasn't. This was coming from Sony itself. So we were getting content that we weren't getting anywhere else. And what was more of a standout was the fact that we were getting full motion video, something that internet access just wasn't really doing all that well during that time. Download speeds were pretty slow. You had to wait sometimes for the video to download so you could watch it on your desktop. It's not like today where you can watch stuff pretty much on demand because speed is so high. So this was a fantastic idea. You were able to get on the inside. You were able to watch these interview videos, watch the stuff behind the scenes, and then you could play the games that they were talking about. You could play a version of Twisted Metal 2 in here and check it out. You could check out NBA Shootout 97 or whatever it is that's in here, and you could try it for yourself. So it basically takes what the official PlayStation magazine had in print and puts that in video form, as well as giving you some demos that may or may not be part of that disc, and that's why it stands out to me. Now, unfortunately, this first set here, I remember that Twisted Metal 2 is on it, which is why I'm talking about it. It really doesn't give anything away, but this was just the first. You would get 4 of these a year, and I believe you had to pay $30 a year, and that seems like a lot, but it's a little more than half the price of a new game at the time. And you were getting all of these demos 4 times a year. You were getting these interviews. You were getting behind the scenes stuff. Some of the discs had import games you could try, which you really couldn't try anywhere else. So it was information, it was games, it was codes. There were downloads you could put on a memory card, and it was just, it felt like it was indispensable. It was Sony's answer to Nintendo Power, if you're asking me, and that's why it stands out. Now, there are a couple of issues of this CD magazine that I want to touch on before we wrap up. The first one is issue number 2, which is this guy right here. Why does this one stand out? Well, because it pretty much revolves around one of the most important games from 1997, Final Fantasy VII. Now, you could certainly read about it. You certainly did in just about every video game magazine known to man during that time. But now, for the first time, you could actually see the developers and listen to them talking about the game that they put together. Granted, they weren't speaking in English, so you had to have the information translated, but still, it was a different approach. It felt like it held something a little bit more because you could actually hear them say it rather than something that was just being transcribed in a magazine. And to me, at least, I thought that that was pretty cool. So Final Fantasy VII being what it is, or what it was just a fantastic get for this magazine. Also on the inside here, NBA Shootout was playable, NBA Shootout 97, and you actually got to watch NBA superstars play the game. Also, you could watch a Spawn character come to life, and there was much more stuff too. So that was issue number 2. Unfortunately, I don't have issues number 3 and 4. Those are on the pricey side, but I definitely am on the hunt for those. One other one that I want to point out is one that I just got in the mail very recently. It is issue number 3.4, and I believe that the year on this is 1999. Now, you could certainly say that it stands out because, heck, there's Grandia right there that you got to try for the first time. And, oh, hey, it's Dino Crisis as well. But that's not the reason that this stands out to me. It stands out to me because of this right here. It is the exclusive PlayStation 2 reveal. And if you were a Sony fan at this time, hearing about the PlayStation 2, you wanted to know everything about it. And it was certainly an exciting time to be a Sony fan because they were just wiping the floor with the competition, let's face it. Nintendo was trying to keep up, but Sony was the big boy on the block, and they were looking to keep that going with the PS2. I still kind of laugh at myself now because I never got in on the PS2 when it launched. I waited a few months before I got in, and that was kind of silly of me. But I had a Dreamcast at the time. It's a story for another video. But having this reveal on a disc where you could watch the video information and read about it rather than just reading it in a magazine was oh so cool to have. And because this is coming from Sony themselves, you thought it was insider information that you couldn't get anywhere else. So that's just a very brief look at the PlayStation Underground CD magazine and about demo discs in general. I mean, I have plenty of PlayStation Underground CD magazines. These are just the first 3 seasons. There was a 4th season that I need to pick up as well at some point down the road. Maybe they'll have some at Retro World Expo, I'm hoping, but we'll see. These are fantastic additions to your collection. I know it seems weird to say because it's a bunch of demos, but when I tell you that all of the extra content makes it worth it, if you happen to see these in a thrift store or online for a really cheap price, I really can't recommend them enough as long as you have an original PlayStation or PS2 or PS3 that will play these. There's a lot of cool stuff to check out. The demos are fun to revisit, and it's really cool to kind of look back on that information and think back to how this was the way that we found out, either in a video game magazine or from a disc. This was really before the internet really blew up, and I think it's fun to revisit that period because to me, it just makes me feel a bit younger. And I certainly need that being in my mid-40s these days. Thanks for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. If you have any experience with demo discs or the PlayStation Underground, I'd really love to hear about it in the comments. Please feel free to leave them below. If you like the video, go ahead and thumbs up it. It always means a lot. And until the next time, my friends, see ya.